Healing always begins with awareness. Before growth, before strength, before peace, there must be honesty. Most people try to heal by distracting themselves. They stay busy, scroll endlessly, overwork, overeat, or overthink. But healing does not happen through avoidance. It happens through understanding. The moment you decide to look inward instead of outward, you take your first real step toward transformation. Self-awareness is the courage to sit quietly and ask yourself, what am I really feeling? Not what you should feel, not what others expect you to feel, but what is truly happening inside you. Many of us were taught to suppress emotions. We were told to be strong, to stop crying, to move on quickly. Over time, those unexpressed emotions did not disappear. They buried themselves deep within us, and what is buried does not die. It waits. When you become self-aware, you begin uncovering what has been hidden. You start recognizing patterns. Maybe you notice that certain situations trigger anger. Maybe certain people activate insecurity. Maybe certain memories still bring pain. Awareness allows you to observe these reactions without immediately judging yourself for them. Instead of saying, why am I like this? You begin asking, what is this teaching me? That small shift changes everything. Awareness separates you from your emotions. You begin to understand that you are not your anxiety, you are not your sadness, you are not your past mistakes. You are the observer of those experiences. And when you can observe something, you can change it. When you react unconsciously, your past controls you. But when you respond consciously, your future opens up. Think about how powerful that is. The simple act of noticing your thoughts can reduce their control over you. When a negative belief appears, I'm not good enough, I always fail, nothing ever works out for me. Awareness allows you to pause and question it. Is this absolutely true? Where did this belief come from? Who taught me this about myself? Often you'll discover that many of your limiting beliefs are inherited from past experiences, old criticisms, or moments of rejection. They are not facts. They are interpretations, and interpretations can be rewritten. Self-awareness also teaches you responsibility, not blame, but responsibility. Blame says, this is my fault. Responsibility says, this is within my power to change. There is strength in recognizing that while you cannot control everything that happened to you, you can control how you respond to it now. That realization is empowering. It shifts you from victimhood to growth. When you become more aware, you also begin to notice your physical responses. Your body is constantly communicating with you. Tight shoulders may signal stress. A racing heart may signal fear. Fatigue may signal emotional overload. Instead of ignoring these signals, awareness invites you to listen. Your body is not working against you. It is trying to protect you. When you pay attention, you can respond with care instead of criticism. Silence becomes your ally in this process. In silence, you hear yourself clearly. Even 5 minutes of sitting without distraction can reveal what your busy life has been hiding. You may feel uncomfortable at first. That discomfort is not weakness. It is truth surfacing. Stay with it. Breathe through it. The more you practice sitting with your inner world, the less intimidating it becomes. Awareness also deepens your compassion for yourself. When you understand why you react the way you do, you soften. You realize that many of your behaviors were survival mechanisms. Maybe you became distant to avoid being hurt. Maybe you became a perfectionist to feel worthy. Maybe you stayed silent to keep the peace. These strategies once protected you, but awareness helps you decide whether they still serve you today. Growth is not about judging who you were. It is about choosing who you are becoming. Another powerful aspect of self-awareness is recognizing your needs. Many people feel empty or resentful because they ignore what they truly require: rest, connection, boundaries, creativity, support. When you become aware of your unmet needs, you stop expecting others to magically understand them. You begin communicating clearly. You begin setting healthier limits. You begin honoring yourself. Awareness brings clarity. Clarity brings confidence. The more you understand your emotional landscape, the less reactive you become. Instead of exploding in anger, you recognize irritation early and address it calmly. Instead of spiraling into anxiety, you catch the fearful thought and ground yourself. Instead of repeating toxic patterns, you pause and choose differently. That pause, that small space between trigger and response, is where healing lives. Self-awareness is not a one-time breakthrough. It is a daily practice. Each day offers opportunities to observe your thoughts, question your assumptions, and adjust your direction. Some days you will respond beautifully. Other days you will fall back into old habits. That is part of the journey. Awareness is not about perfection, it is about progress. Remember, you cannot heal what you refuse to acknowledge, but the moment you shine light on your inner world, darkness loses its grip. The moment you name your pain, it becomes manageable. The moment you accept your emotions, they begin to move instead of stagnate. You are not broken, you are learning, you are not lost, you are discovering, and with every honest look inward, you grow stronger. Self-awareness is the foundation of all healing. It is the quiet power that turns confusion into clarity and pain into purpose. And once you master the art of observing yourself with honesty and compassion, nothing within you will ever feel impossible to face again. True healing begins when you understand one powerful truth. Your mind and body are not separate. They are constantly communicating. Every thought you think sends signals through your nervous system. Every emotion you feel creates chemical reactions inside you. Every breath you take either calms you or fuels tension. When you learn to work with this connection instead of against it, you unlock your natural ability to heal. Most people try to solve emotional problems only with logic. They try to think their way out of stress, fear, or sadness. But healing is not just mental, it is physical. Stress is not only in your thoughts, it shows up in tight muscles, shallow breathing, headaches, digestive issues, and exhaustion. Anxiety is not just a mindset, it is a racing heart and restless energy. That is why real recovery requires you to involve your body in the process. Your nervous system plays a major role in your well-being. When you are constantly under pressure, your body remains in survival mode. In this state, it focuses on protection, not healing. Muscles stay tense. Sleep becomes lighter. Digestion slows down. Your system is preparing for danger, even when there is no real threat. The problem is that modern stress is often emotional, not physical, yet your body reacts as if you are being chased. The good news is that you have direct access to calming this system, and it starts with your breath. Deep, slow breathing sends a signal to your brain that you are safe. When you inhale fully and exhale slowly, your heart rate stabilizes, your muscles soften, your thoughts become clearer. Something as simple as breathing intentionally for 5 minutes can interrupt a stress response that has been running for hours. This is not imagination, it is biology. Your breath is a remote control for your nervous system. Movement is another powerful tool. When emotions are not expressed, they get stored. You may not see it, but your body holds tension from past arguments, disappointments, and fears. That is why after a long, stressful day, your shoulders ache or your back feels tight. Physical movement helps release what words sometimes cannot. A brisk walk, stretching in the morning, yoga, or even dancing alone in your room can shift your emotional state. When you move your body, you move stagnant energy. Sleep is equally essential. Many people underestimate how deeply rest impacts healing. While you sleep, your body repairs cells, balances hormones, and processes emotions from the day. When sleep is disrupted, your stress levels rise and your emotional resilience drops. Prioritizing rest is not laziness, it is self-respect. It is giving your body permission to restore itself naturally. Nutrition also plays a powerful role in your recovery. What you eat becomes the raw material your body uses to function. When you consistently fuel yourself with processed, sugary, or nutrient-poor foods, your energy crashes and inflammation increases. On the other hand, when you nourish yourself with whole foods, water, fruits, vegetables, and balanced meals, you create an internal environment that supports stability and strength. Healing is not about strict diets. It is about conscious choices that honor your body. Hydration alone can influence your mood and clarity. Even mild dehydration can increase fatigue and irritability. Drinking enough water seems simple, but small habits create major shifts over time. Your body responds quickly when treated with care. Mindfulness strengthens the mind-body connection even further. When you practice being present, whether through meditation, prayer, or quiet reflection, you train your brain to slow down. You stop living on autopilot. You become aware of how your thoughts affect your physical sensations. You begin noticing that when you think something fearful, your chest tightens. When you think something hopeful, your posture lifts. This awareness gives you power. You realize that changing your mental focus can create physical relief. Gratitude is another underestimated healing force. When you consciously focus on what is working in your life, your brain releases chemicals associated with well-being, your body relaxes, your perspective widens. This does not mean ignoring problems. It means balancing them with appreciation. Even in difficult seasons, there is always something stable, something supportive, something good. Training your mind to notice it changes your internal chemistry. Touch also matters. A hug, placing your hand over your heart, or even gently massaging tense muscles can signal safety to your system. Human beings are wired for connection. Safe, supportive contact reduces stress hormones and increases feelings of security. Even self-soothing gestures can create comfort. Consistency is the key to activating your inner healing power. You do not need extreme routines or complicated strategies. Healing happens through small, repeated actions. 5 minutes of breathing daily, 10 minutes of movement, choosing water over soda, going to bed slightly earlier, speaking kindly to yourself when you make a mistake. These habits may seem minor, but they compound over time. Your body wants to heal. It is designed to repair cuts, fight infections, and adapt to change, but it needs the right conditions. When you reduce chronic stress, nourish yourself properly, move regularly, and create moments of calm, you support the systems already built inside you. You are not fragile. You are responsive. Your body responds to fear, but it also responds to care. Your mind reacts to stress, but it also adapts to peace. When you align your thoughts, actions, and physical habits, you create harmony within yourself. Healing is not something outside of you. It is not locked in complicated formulas. It is activated when you choose to work with your body instead of ignoring it. The more you listen to its signals, the more it guides you toward balance. Inside you right now is a system designed for recovery. Your breath, your movement, your rest, your nourishment, these are tools of transformation. When you respect the connection between your mind and body, you awaken a strength that has always been there. And once you experience that alignment, you realize something powerful. Your healing power has been within you all along. Healing requires release. You cannot carry emotional weight forever and expect to feel light. Many people try to move forward while still holding on to anger, regret, guilt, resentment, or unspoken pain. They tell themselves they are fine. They convince others they have moved on. But inside, something remains tight, heavy, unresolved. True recovery begins the moment you allow yourself to let go. Unreleased emotions do not disappear. They settle quietly within you. They show up in unexpected reactions, in sudden tears, in irritation that feels bigger than the situation. They surface as anxiety, exhaustion, or even physical discomfort. The body remembers what the mind tries to forget. That is why emotional release is not weakness. It is necessary. The first step toward release is permission. You must give yourself permission to feel, not partially, not politely, fully. If you are hurt, admit it. If you are angry, acknowledge it. If you are grieving, allow the sadness. Emotions are signals, not enemies. They are messages trying to move through you. When you suppress them, they stay trapped. When you allow them, they begin to flow. Crying is not a breakdown, it is a release valve. Talking to someone you trust is not complaining, it is processing. Writing in a journal is not dramatic, it is clarity in motion. Expression transforms emotion from something chaotic into something understandable. When you put feelings into words, they become less overwhelming. They become organized, manageable. There is power in saying, "This hurt me." There is freedom in admitting, "I am still affected by this." Honesty with yourself is the doorway to healing. But release does not stop at expression, it deepens with forgiveness. Forgiveness is often misunderstood. Many believe forgiving means approving what happened. It does not. Forgiveness does not excuse betrayal, disrespect, or harm. It simply means you are choosing not to let that experience control your present anymore. It is a decision to stop reliving the pain daily. It is reclaiming your energy. When you hold on to resentment, you stay emotionally connected to the wound. Every time you replay the story in your mind, your body reacts as if it is happening again. Your heart rate shifts, stress hormones rise, muscles tighten. The past continues living inside your present. Forgiveness interrupts that cycle. It does not always happen instantly. Sometimes forgiveness is a process, a repeated choice. You may have to forgive in layers. Each time the memory surfaces, you gently remind yourself, "I release this." Over time, the emotional charge weakens, the grip loosens. Forgiveness also includes forgiving yourself. This may be the hardest part. Many people carry silent guilt for mistakes they made years ago. They replay decisions, wishing they had known better. They punish themselves internally with harsh self-talk. But growth means recognizing that you made choices with the awareness you had at the time. You are not the same person you were back then. You have learned, you have evolved. Holding on to self-blame keeps you stuck in an outdated version of yourself. Self-forgiveness allows you to step into who you are becoming. Letting go does not mean forgetting the lesson. It means releasing the emotional weight attached to it. You can remember without reliving. You can learn without suffering repeatedly. Sometimes emotional release requires boundaries. If someone continues to reopen wounds, healing may require distance. Protecting your peace is not cruelty, it is maturity. You cannot heal in the same environment that keeps hurting you. Choosing space can be an act of deep self-respect. There is also power in symbolic release, writing a letter you never send, speaking your pain out loud when alone, visualizing yourself placing your burden down. These actions may seem simple, but they signal to your subconscious mind that you are ready to move forward. As you release old emotions, something remarkable happens. You create space, space for peace, space for joy, space for new experiences that are not filtered through old pain. Emotional release is not about becoming emotionless. It is about becoming emotionally free. You begin to respond instead of react. You begin to trust instead of constantly guard. You begin to feel lighter without fully understanding why. That lightness is the absence of what you no longer carry. Healing does not demand that you erase your past. It invites you to integrate it. Your experiences shaped you, but they do not define your future. When you release resentment and practice forgiveness, you break generational cycles, you stop projecting old wounds onto new people, and you allow yourself to experience relationships and opportunities without fear clouding every step. You deserve peace more than you deserve revenge. You deserve freedom more than you deserve to be right. You deserve rest more than you deserve to keep fighting battles that are already over. Letting go is not losing, it is choosing yourself. Every time you release anger, you gain calm. Every time you forgive, you gain strength. Every time you allow yourself to feel fully, you gain clarity. Emotional release is not dramatic, it is transformative. You were never meant to carry everything forever. You were meant to experience, to learn, to grow, and to move forward lighter than before. And when you finally decide to loosen your grip on what hurt you, you will discover something powerful. Your hands are now free to hold something better. Healing is not a single breakthrough moment. It is not one powerful realization that suddenly fixes everything. True recovery is built in the quiet, ordinary choices you make every single day. It is shaped by the way you speak to yourself when no one is listening. It is strengthened by the habits you repeat when motivation fades. Consistency and self-compassion are the foundation of lasting transformation. Many people begin their healing journey with intensity. They feel inspired, determined, ready to change their lives overnight. But when progress feels slow or setbacks appear, they become frustrated. They criticize themselves. They say, why am I not better yet? This harshness becomes another wound. That is why self-compassion is not optional in healing. It is essential. Self-compassion means treating yourself with the same kindness you would offer someone you love. Imagine a close friend comes to you feeling broken, ashamed, or exhausted. You would not insult them. You would not remind them of every mistake they ever made. You would listen. You would encourage. You would reassure them that growth takes time. Yet many people deny themselves that same gentleness. The voice inside your head matters more than you realize. If your inner dialogue is constantly critical, your nervous system stays tense. If you tell yourself you are failing, your confidence shrinks. But when you begin replacing harsh thoughts with supportive ones, something shifts. Instead of saying, I'm so weak, you say, I'm learning. Instead of, I always mess things up, you say, I'm improving. These subtle changes may seem small, but they rewire your mindset over time. Consistency amplifies that change. Healing habits do not have to be dramatic to be powerful. In fact, the smallest habits, done regularly, create the strongest foundation. Drinking water first thing in the morning, taking a few deep breaths before reacting, writing down one thing you are grateful for each night, going to sleep at a reasonable time, taking a short walk when stress builds. These actions seem simple, but their repetition builds emotional stability. The mind thrives on routine. When you consistently practice positive behaviors, your brain begins to expect them. Calm becomes familiar. Kindness toward yourself becomes natural. Stability replaces chaos. You stop depending on motivation because discipline takes its place. And discipline rooted in self-respect feels empowering, not restrictive. There will be days when you feel strong and clear. There will also be days when old habits resurface. You might overthink again. You might doubt yourself. You might react emotionally in ways you promised you would not. This does not mean you have failed. It means you are human. Self-compassion allows you to say, today was hard, but I am still committed. It prevents one difficult moment from becoming a complete collapse. Growth is not linear. It moves in waves. Sometimes you will feel like you are making incredible progress. Other times it may feel like you are standing still. But even on quiet days, if you continue your small healing habits, you are building resilience. You are strengthening muscles you cannot yet see. Boundaries are also part of consistent self-care. Saying no when something drains you, limiting time around negativity, protecting your rest. These choices may feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you are used to pleasing others, but over time, they create emotional safety, and safety is where healing deepens. Gratitude, practiced daily, reshapes perspective. It does not erase difficulties, but it balances them. When you intentionally notice what is working in your life, your mind shifts from scarcity to sufficiency. This habit gradually reduces anxiety and increases hope. The more you look for light, the more you see it. Affirmations can reinforce this growth when spoken consistently. Repeating phrases like, I am worthy of peace, or I am becoming stronger every day, may feel awkward at first. But repetition plants seeds in your subconscious. Over time, those seeds grow into belief, and belief shapes behavior. Patience is part of compassion. You cannot rush healing. Just as physical wounds take time to close and rebuild tissue, emotional wounds require space and care. Expecting immediate results only creates frustration. Trusting the process creates calm determination. Celebrate small victories. Notice when you respond differently than you used to. Acknowledge when you choose calm over anger, rest over burnout, honesty over avoidance. These moments deserve recognition. Progress is often quiet. It hides in subtle changes. But those subtle shifts are evidence that your consistent effort is working. You are not trying to become perfect. You are trying to become whole. And wholeness includes flaws, learning curves, and moments of vulnerability. Self-compassion reminds you that you are worthy even while growing. Consistency ensures that growth continues. Every healthy meal, every boundary set, every kind thought toward yourself, every moment of gratitude, these are bricks in the foundation of your recovery. Brick by brick, day by day, you build a stronger version of yourself, not overnight, not dramatically, but steadily. The power of consistent self-compassion is that it transforms healing from a temporary phase into a lifestyle. It becomes who you are, not something you try occasionally. And when kindness toward yourself becomes your standard, setbacks lose their power to define you. You are not behind, you are building, you are not weak, you are practicing. And with every small repeated act of care, you are proving something powerful to yourself. You are worth the effort. That is how healing becomes permanent. Not through intensity, but through steady love applied daily.